The truth you try to bury every night, under your pillow, is far darker than your supposed kindness. You aren't a good person, you're a domesticated one. That paralyzing dread of disapproval, that nausea rising in your throat when someone looks at you with cold eyes, that isn't virtue. It's submission. You've spent years building a facade, a mask of the reliable friend, the team player, and the nice guy, but in the underworld of your mind. That mask is nothing more than camouflage. You're terrified of being disliked because, deep down, you know you have no defenses. You've turned yourself into a consumer product for others, a moldable object anyone can use to feel better about themselves. And the price you're paying is your own psychological extinction. You have traded your soul for a seat at a table where no one even knows your real name. Think about the physical cost of your performance. Every time you swallow a no and force out a yes, you are ingesting a slow-acting poison. You feel it in your jaw, tight from smiling at people you secretly despise. You feel it in your chest, a hollow weight that grows every time you let someone interrupt you, overlook you, or use you. In the ecosystem of social dynamics, there are predators and there are prey. When you move through the world desperately trying to please everyone, you are emitting a low-frequency signal, a scent of weakness that manipulators can detect from miles away. You are screaming to the world that your value is floating, that it depends entirely on the current market price of external validation. In dark psychology, we understand that the people pleaser is actually one of the most covert manipulators in existence. Yes, you. You are trying to control the perceptions of others through your servitude. You use your kindness as a bribe, a pathetic insurance policy, hoping that if you're useful enough, people won't have the heart to hurt you. But the cruel irony is that by doing this, you become the ultimate target. No one respects a doormat, no matter how expensive the fabric. They just wipe their feet, leave their dirt behind, and keep moving towards someone who actually has a spine. This pathology didn't start today. It started when you were a child, learning that love was a transaction. You were taught that being good meant being quiet, being compliant, and never making waves. You were conditioned to believe that your parents' or teachers' moods were your responsibility. You became an expert at scanning faces, decoding tones of voice, and anticipating needs before they were even expressed. You became a psychological shapeshifter. But here is the dark reality. When you spend your formative years becoming what others want, you never develop a core. You are a hollow shell, filled with the expectations of ghosts. You are a reflection in a hall of mirrors, and if the mirrors were taken away, you wouldn't know who was standing in the room. This is why being disliked feels like death to you. Without the mirror of someone else's smile, you cease to exist in your own mind. Modern society has turned this childhood trauma into a business model. We live in a digital panopticon where every interaction is a vote on your worthiness. The like button is the most successful psychological weapon ever devised. It has turned every citizen into a performer and every stranger into a judge. You are caught in a feedback loop of social credit, terrified that one wrong opinion or one awkward moment will lead to your excommunication. But look at the people you are trying to impress. Are they the elite? Are they the masters of their own fate? No, they are just as broken, just as insecure, and just as terrified as you are. They use their judgment of you to distract themselves from the rot in their own lives. You are sacrificing your authenticity to satisfy the whims of people who don't even like themselves. It is a spectacular waste of a human life. The fear of being hated is the fear of being seen without your costume. It's the terror that if you stop performing, the world will discover there's nothing inside but a hollow hunger for attention. You monitor yourself constantly, editing your emails 10 times, rehearsing your conversations in the shower, pruning your personality before it can even bloom. Why? Because being difficult or different makes you a target. You've been programmed to believe that being a target is the same as being dead. But what they never told you is that conformity is just a slower, quieter form of suicide. You are killing your potential, your edge, and your fire, all so you can fit into a suburban box that was designed to keep you small. Take a cold look at your inner circle. They don't love you. They love the convenience you provide. They love the fact that you're the one they can call at 2 a.m. to dump their problems on. They love that you'll always pick up the tab, always do the extra work, and always laugh at their terrible jokes. They love the version of you that serves them. If you decided right now to be faithful to your darkest and most honest impulses, if you started speaking your mind without a filter, half of those people would vanish before dawn. They would call you toxic, selfish, or mean. What they really mean is that you are no longer easy to exploit. This mass exodus of parasites should be a liberation, a celebration of your newfound strength. But to you, it sounds like the end of the world. You've become addicted to the drug of approval, and like any addict, you're willing to crawl through broken glass just for one more hit of a thank you or a fake nod of agreement. To master the art of disdain, you must embrace your shadow. You must realize that being disliked is one of the most potent power tools a human can possess. It is a psychological shield. When someone doesn't like you, they lose their leverage over you. They can no longer manipulate you with the threat of withdrawal, because there is nothing left to withdraw. Their dislike is the ultimate recognition of your power. It is the admission that you cannot be bent, that you have boundaries, and that you are a solid entity rather than a mist that adapts to any container. In the world of dark influence, rejection is the ultimate filter. It flushes out the weak, the parasitic, and the manipulative, leaving room only for those who are strong enough to handle your reality. Being liked by everyone is the greatest sign of insignificance. It means you are so harmless, so diluted, that you don't bother anyone. And if you don't bother anyone, you don't truly exist. You're just background noise in someone else's symphony. True sovereignty begins the moment you decide to become the villain in someone else's story. There is a cold, sharp satisfaction in knowing that someone, somewhere, is talking trash about you in a boardroom or a bar, and that it doesn't change your pulse by a single beat. This is the breaking point where you stop being a victim of social circumstances and start being the architect of your own reality. The fear of being judged is a rope around your neck, and every person you try to please holds an end of that rope. You are being pulled in 1,000 directions, strangling slowly. Cut the rope. All of them. Let them fall. Let them be offended by your silence, by your refusal, and by your total devastating lack of interest in participating in their farce. Social manipulation is a hall of mirrors designed to keep you lost. When you fear judgment, you give others the power to define the very borders of your identity. But when you look at your judge and realize they are nothing more than a bundle of insecurities, unresolved traumas, and desperate projections, the spell breaks. Why would you give the keys to your mental kingdom to someone who can barely manage the chaos in their own bedroom? The desire to be liked is a gaping wound that toxic bosses, narcissistic partners, and parasitic friends can smell from a mile away. They will feed you crumbs of affection just to ensure you keep working, serving, and sacrificing yourself on the altar of their ego. They are using your kindness to build their empire, while you sit in the ruins of your own. If you want to step out of the shadow, you must practice the cruelty of truth. Not with others, that's easy, but with yourself. Admit that your altruism is a lie. Admit that you are nice only because you are too cowardly to be honest. Admit that you fear loneliness because you are terrified of the person you become when the audience leaves. Admit that being loved is your only way of feeling real. Once you accept these brutal, ugly truths, the fear of being disliked loses its venom. You begin to see that others' disapproval isn't an attack on your existence, but a processing error in their own faulty minds. You are not a service provider for the emotions of others. If your truth hurts them, let them bleed. Their pain is a signal that they were trying to use you, and you finally stopped letting them. The price of sovereignty is partial solitude. It is the cold, clean air of the mountaintop where few can breathe. It is a solitude inhabited by a self that doesn't need the crutch of a like or the permission of a peer group. When you stop begging for smiles, you discover a reservoir of power that has been dormant since you were a child. You become unpredictable. You become dangerous. And in the game of influence, the unpredictable person is the only one who truly leads. Everyone else is just following a script written by someone they don't even like. Stop being the backdrop in everyone else's movie. Stop being the supporting character who dies in the first act to move someone else's plot forward. Start being the protagonist of your own darkness. Being disliked is your new armor. It is the proof that you have arrived. When you finally lose the fear of being the problem in someone's life, you will find the only form of peace this chaotic world allows. The peace of a man who owes no one anything, not even a polite conversation. Look in the mirror and understand once and for all. It is better to be hated for the monster you are than loved for the saint you pretend to be. The mask has become a cage. It's time to break it. Let the pieces fall where they may, and see who actually has the courage to stand by you when the lights of social approval finally go out and the real world begins.